dive right in and let's get ready. First thing we're gonna do, we got our chicken right here. Just so you know, also you can watch me here, but also in the gallery you can watch my cutting board and everything over here as well. Let's see. First thing I do, me personally, I have to wash things in between, is I get two cutting boards. I got my cutting board right here just for my chicken, and I got my other cutting board right here for vegetables and anything else I need. That way there's no cross-contamination and everything is nice and clean. So let's start. I got my butcher's knife right here. Gonna cut my chicken. Gonna take this chicken and oil to mix. It starts to splatter. Can hit you in the face. So you pat that down a little, get all your liquid away from your chicken. Now, as you can see here, a little bit of fat on here. A little bit of fat is not that bad, but you want to get these little corners out. They're going to be a little hard to eat. So we're just going to trim it down a little bit. See that little fat? Just a little bit of fat is okay. You know, the first thing they teach you in culinary school is fat equals flavor. Flavor, the more fat, the more flavorful it is. However, it's just not so good for you. So we'll give it a little bit, but we're not going to do too much. All right, first thing you're going to do now is you're going to take it and you're just going to slice it right down the middle. Don't worry about butterflying it, making them big. You want these pieces very thin. A piece like that's good. This is still a little thick, so what I'm going to do is cut it again, and that way you'll have a bunch of pieces. There you go. That's one chicken. See, a little fat's okay. That's not that bad. Don't worry about it. We're going to slice it again. And we're going to do this one more time. Nice thin pieces. Right here, here's another piece. We're going to get about 6 pieces. Now, the sauce we're going to make for this is going to be a little bit much for the chicken, but as you know, this is almost like an Italian dish, and Italians love to dip their bread into sauce. So the more sauce, you can eat with your challah or yantif. Anyway, here we go. In your recipe, I wrote down that you're going to combine flour, cornstarch, garlic powder, salt, pepper. I did it already. You don't have to watch me mix it all together. Anyhow, here it is. You see it? We're going to dredge these in flour. So in order for your hands not to get all sticky, you're going to do one dry, one wet. Since your chicken's still a little wet, it will make it stick to your hands. We're going to use one hand wet, the other hand dry. That way it doesn't mix up. Okay, put it in the corner. One hand wet, one hand dry. Right, just like that. You don't need a lot of flour. This is just going to coat the outside of the chicken, and all of this flour and cornstarch is going to thicken your sauce as well later on. Right, don't worry about getting dirty. That's the whole good part about cooking, is that you can always worry about it later. All right, anywho, here we go. Here's a little trick. We're using a large pot right here, right? So you're gonna say, oh, everything in the middle cooks, but nothing on the outside is cooking. Okay, that's why I got 2 burners. You're going to put both burners on, the front and the back, and you're going to pop it right in the middle so that it basically has the same fire all the way around. Let's put it on a low, medium heat. Both of them, you see how it's going to hang out a little bit? That's fine, don't worry about it. You're not going to burn yourself. All right, while we got that going on medium heat, I'm going to take half of my margarine. Now, you don't need to use margarine also. Margarine works as a thickener for your sauce. If you don't like margarine, you could use all extra virgin olive oil. I'm splitting it in half. It kind of slows down the process of the cooking. So here we go. We got our margarine right here. The recipe calls for 4 ounces. Take the 2 ounces first. We're going to use another 2 later. And we're going to mix that with our little bit of olive oil. Not too much. We are not deep frying. We are pan searing. All right. Next, we're going to wait for that to warm up a little bit. While we're warming it up, you got to keep on going. You don't want to stay in the kitchen all day, right? Even though I don't mind. I know you guys have a lot of things to do. So we're going to cut our mushrooms while we're waiting for that to melt. All right. Baby bella mushrooms are great. I've washed these already. Don't worry about the stems. Stems have a lot of flavor in them. They're going into a sauce, and they're actually going to cook down a little bit. So I'm just going to cut these not too thin and not too thick. You actually want a little body on these, so if you cut them too thin, you're just going to be mushy. Mushrooms are one of my favorite vegetables. They are 90%. Stem came off already, so I'm just going to put it in there. They are 90% water. So when you're cooking them, you should not touch it, okay? When you're cooking them, the saute pan is going to take out all of the water. It is going to evaporate, and that's when you're going to get the caramelized sugars that are inside the mushroom as well. All right? So right now, see, let's bring up the flame a little bit. It is melted a little bit. Your mushrooms put to the side, and now we're going to cook our chicken. Now, we're not going to cook these 100% all the way through, because if it sits in the chicken, if it sits in the sauce for way too long, then you're going to have mushy chicken. Okay, you're going to sear these on both sides just enough that you get some coating on the outside, because once you put that sauce, there is no more browning. So the only time you're going to get your color is now while you're sauteing. All right, here we go. Brush it off a little bit. You don't want a lot of flour, you just want enough to coat it. And you put it right into there. We'll raise it up just a drop. You hear it moving already. You hear it sizzling. The number one thing for cooking, I feel, in my opinion, is patience. And luckily, I have twins, so I'm learning a lot about patience. Anywho, patience. Don't start touching your food. Don't start moving it around. Don't start flipping it. Just let it sit and let it work itself. If you don't have patience, you're not going to be able. None of your food is going to come out good. And there you go. Put it right in there. Let's turn this up to high so we get some flavor and garbage. All right. So while you got this working, you don't want to stand around and do absolutely nothing. So let's work a little bit. Okay. Next thing you're going to need to put in is your mushrooms. We got to cut our mushrooms already. The next thing after that you're going to need is your garlic and your shallots. Now, if you don't have any shallots, you can't find any shallots, a red onion will work just as well. A shallot, just to let you know, is a mix of a garlic and an onion. It comes from the whole entire same family. So you want something sweet, yet pungent at the same exact time. I'm going to use a red onion right now because, unfortunately, Trader Joe's does not have any shallots. So, easy cut right here. Half moons, you're going to cut your onion in half. And this is called, these are half moons. These are quarter moons. So you're going to cut it down like that. Easy. Good. Next thing you're going to need is your garlic. Before we do that, I hear my food. You got to listen to it all times. Looks pretty golden to me. I'm going to turn it over. Also, don't want to cook it too long. Then your chicken's just going to dry out. Now, you're having mushrooms, they're not going to get caramelized. They're not going to cook so well. And that's a lot of times why you'll have mushroom soup. We call it mushroom soup in the kitchen just because it has a lot of water and the mushrooms are mushy. The only thing really you can do with it is mushroom soup. So you don't want to touch them right now. You want to leave them right there, get them caramelized, get that flavor out of the mushroom, get the water out of the mushroom. Once that's done, we're going to add our red onions, shallots, whatever you're using, and we're going to use some garlic. I'm going to slice some garlic right now. I know the recipe says minced garlic. That's great. My chef told me, he's Italian, that we never mince garlic. We only slice it. Keep on cutting it until you get bitter. It's my opinion. Other people don't have the tongue for it just yet, but that's good. Okay. I'm just going to slice up these mushrooms real quick. These garlic real quick. And I hear the mushroom starting to talk to me. Meaning I hear it doing something. I hear it. No? Okay?
Yeah, we hear you now. You're good.
So that our mushrooms so far. What we're going to do, maybe we'll talk a little bit about this dish. Za'atar, spice of za'atar is actually a bunch of mixed spices that basically is going from Israel. It's got some cumin, it's got some turmeric, it's got a little bit of curry in it, I think, as well. Got a lot of sesame in it. It's really nice spice on chicken. It goes very well. Pair this also with another bottle of wine if you want to drink a bottle of wine for the meal. But there's not much you can mess around with. So I'm just going to shake it right now, get it off the bottom. I'm going to flip it a little bit, just so that the other mushrooms that didn't get any color are going to go down into the bottom. I'm going to raise up the temperature a little bit, just so that it goes up, it gets going a little bit. I don't know where we broke up if you told why I picked this dish, but I'll say it again. The reason why I picked this dish is because it goes very well with the sauces. Once it's night, you're not sure when your husband's coming home from shul. If he's going to shul, what time you're going to eat, or when when your guests are going to show up, or even how much it's going to go. That way, the chicken is in a sauce. The sauce is not going to dry out, and it'll be actually perfect temperature and perfect way of eating it on Yom Tov. Right? I hear the mushrooms coming a little over. I don't know if you can hear it too, but they're sizzling. Once they sizzle very fast, that means that a lot of the water is evaporating, and you're left with all the caramelization. So I'm going to scrape the bottom of it just a little bit. Those mushrooms look like they're good to go. Once those mushrooms look like they're going to go, we're going to put in more vegetables. Right? It's going to slow down the process of the mushrooms, but that's okay. All right, first thing we're going to do, we're going to put in our shallots, and then we're going to put in our garlic. All right, first mixing we're going to do as well. You don't need to do this if you're worried about diet or anything like that. Just a drop of olive oil. All right. Italians love olive oil. Italians in Italy are not fat. Extra virgin olive oil is very good for you. Very good for you. Mix it up a little bit. Let that mushroom still getting on the bottom of it. Let those onions sweat out. You know what sweat means? Sweat means that the liquid from the mushroom is going to come out a little bit. There we go. Keep on going. See, I'm using a spatula. I like spatula. I don't want to scrape the bottom of my pan. And I'm still going to get all that good stuff off the bottom. Next step is really going to get all that good flavor off the bottom when we deglaze it on the bottom of the pan with white wine. Let that sit there. I'm moving it a lot. Let it go. All right. We got white wine. If you want, I like it. You don't need to. I'm adding some non-dairy creamer to this to make it creamier. It's the closest thing to non-kosher food that you're going to get. And it's the best way you can without using anything else. Now, very important thing, I put salt into the chicken already. There's not a lot of salt here. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt to my dish. What does salt do? Everybody says, oh, it makes the things taste better. No, it brings out the flavor of things. If flavor is hidden within food, it's right there. It just needs to be brought out. Has it brought out? By getting rid of water, now everything tastes like a vegetable or anything that you're cooking, and not just the water that's inside of it. Break up those onions a little bit. I'll tell you one thing, everybody in my house is very happy because this is what they're eating for dinner. It's great. Probably going to have an early dinner because no one's going to want to wait. All right, we're almost there. You'll know that you're there when the onions start to look a little translucent. That's what it means sweating. A little translucent. They look like they're actually sweating. Oh my God, you're hot. Here we go. Everybody, if you're at home and you're cooking at home for some reason, or you want to do this on your own time, the number one way to do this is a white wine sauce that you have to have a glass yourself. So please dig in, have a glass of wine, and enjoy it. Because you are cooking for Yom Tov too. All right, here we go. You see all that good stuff on the bottom of the pan. All that pan. That is such good flavor. Here we're going to take our white wine. I've already measured it out. We're going to take a cup of white wine. Any type of white wine. You want to use sweet, that's okay, but dry is better. We're going to pour it right in. It's going to make it, I'm going to turn up the fire a little bit, just so the alcohol evaporates a little bit quicker than what you want. Ready? Here we go. You roll that. And then you start to get in there and start scraping. All right? Get in there and start scraping. You want to see the bottom of your pan no matter what. Keep on going. You take all that good stuff. It's all going to come up right into your wine. Right into the sauce. Now, move this here, and we're going to let it sit, and we're going to let it reduce. While you're doing that, turn your oven up to 400 so you get ready to make your dessert. Dessert's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take over an hour, but I made it for you already, so I'll show you how to do it. And then, like the television, it's already done in 5 minutes. All right, you want to cook it down. You want this wine not to look like wine, like water. You want it to be thick. Right? It's going to thicken up a little. Once you're reducing it and all this steam comes out with is the water that's inside here, you're going to be left with full flavor. Just give it a couple minutes. Good to go. Now, some people won't do that. Some people will put the chicken stock in immediately. In my opinion, you're not going to get that flavor of the wine completely out, the alcohol out, and once you put anything else in. All right? That's the best thing about cooking is that you can, here, here, and here. Just take your time, do it step by step, and it'll come out perfect. No genius or anything like that. Just patience and cooking will get you far, far away. Right. You see, it's almost still a little liquidy. Right? You want it to reduce even more. Now, why am I using such a large pan? Right? If I use a smaller pan, the liquid would be higher, it wouldn't be out. It would take you longer and longer, maybe another hour, for this to reduce, just because the surface area that you're cooking with is not large. You can't let the things spread out and cook. Here, now the liquid is bubbling a lot faster. That's good. That means that a lot of liquid is coming out and it's starting to become a sauce. And just wine, just the flavor of the grapes. We're almost there. We'll give it about another minute. To show you how I'm using Himalayan pink salt. This is a present by my lovely sister. Sea salt is great. It's amazing. I like to use it. I like to use it in a lot of my things. It comes out. It melts down the salt a lot slower than kosher salt. All right, I think we're about there. I'm going to add my chicken stock. 2 cups of chicken stock right in there. All right. I'm going to let this come to a boil one more time, and then I'm going to add my other stuff and lower down the flame. Now, why am I lowering down the flame? Okay, because now that you have a huge, large surface area at the bottom, everything can burn once you put the creamer, the mustard, and all the thickeners in there. It will start to burn all the sugars and everything that's on the bottom. Well, we're going to reduce it and let it go slow. Once I get all these things together, we're going to put our chicken in and we're going to let it sit. Okay? And at that point, we'll start doing our dessert while we're waiting for it to sit. This is a simple dish that anybody can do for Yontif, and I think everyone will love it. Mushrooms go a long way in my family. We're almost at a boil. Give it another 30 seconds and we should be good. This is a classic Italian dish. Comes from all different regions depending on what type of wine you want to drink. So if this was in the lower part of Italy, near all the islands and everything, that actually use a red wine. Something that's a little more boldy, a little more strong, and it's got all that sea salt that breathes through the wine. All right, we're at a boil now. We're going to First, we're gonna hit our thyme sprigs. Okay, just put the whole thing in like that. It'll be a lot easier just to take it out later when you're done. Okay. And I'm going to use a non-dairy creamer. Okay. Now, I also said maybe you're not trying to put in cornstarch in here. Now, we put cornstarch into water and make what we call a slurry, and then put it in. Why do we do that? Because it'll get really chunky and you'll see clumps of the cornstarch come together if you don't put it into water. I'm putting that in now. If you're doing this for yontif, I tell you not to do that because it probably will thicken up your sauce a lot. Like you said, you're not sure exactly when you're going to eat. I'm doing this because we're about to plate it up right after. If you're not sure when you're going to plate it up, then don't put the cornstarch in, right? Little by little. My chef always told me you can always add, you can never take out, so don't put it all in until you need it all. Well, let it come together a little bit. Next, we're going to put our mustard. Lemon juice. Now we're going to turn it down. Okay. Let you know also just about your palate. When you're saying I got mustard, I got lemon, I got white wine, these are all bold flavors. Your mouth takes on very different flavors. You got sweet, you got savory, you got salty, you got umami, all different flavors. Now you might think that a lot of these don't come together right, but once they do and they hit your mouth, that's when you start to love a lot of food. A little trick, if you're eating chicken soup, instead of putting salt into it, drop a drop of vinegar into it, apple cider vinegar, and it'll bring out the flavor of everything in that soup you can't even imagine. You're thinking, apple cider vinegar? Yes, I understand. But when it all comes together, when the salty, the sweet, and the savory, and the tangy all come together, it's perfect. It's all blended perfectly. Now, we're going to add our za'atar. 2 tablespoons of za'atar. Unfortunately, I'm not in the restaurant kitchen right now, so I got to do all the dishes when I'm done. Spoon, just mix it in slowly. Slowly. You don't want the sauce. This is really good sauce. You don't want the sauce to get everywhere. You want it to stay in the pot. So go nice and slow. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to add our chicken back to this. And we're just going to turn up the fire just a drop and let it sit there and cook for a little bit. This is how I always set up everything. On my cutting board, my utensils, right next to my station, just like it is in a restaurant. Everything I need is right here. I don't need to go anywhere else. Now, if you saw I had all those things lined up, why did I do that? Because I'd be going around running like a chicken without a head, trying to get everything, and everything's going to burn while I'm trying to run and get everything. So what we learn in culinary school is called mise en place. It's French. It means everything in order. And you got to get everything in order of what you're about to do before you do. You got to know your steps and just get everything ready. Cut your vegetables beforehand. Cut your chicken beforehand. Don't start cooking while you're doing all of that. Have it all done right in front of you. That way your mind is right on the food. All right, take my times and I put the chicken back into the sauce. Now, the sauce is going to get a little thick from all the cornstarch and the flour that was actually on the chicken. By the way, if you don't want to use flour or cornstarch, you do not need to. Grill it and saute it just the way it is. These are just thickeners, but this sauce is delicious even without a thickener. It's white wine and lemon. It goes perfect. All right, I'm going to put this to the side for now. Let that cook a little bit. Turn up the fire. Let that cook. And let's go to dessert. All right. Let's grab our fruit. All right, we got our plums. All right, beautiful plums. Let's pick them out. They're actually a little hard. If they're a little soft, that means that they're pretty good to eat, but they're going to fall apart in the oven. And you want them to cook in the oven. You don't want them to be. You want them to be a little underripe. So we're going to cut these in half, just like an avocado. You're going to flip it around. You're going to twist a little bit, and that twist is going to pop out the seed, the pit. Sorry. Next one, you're going to just cut a little diamond, take out the pit. Boom. Okay. We're going to line these up on parchment paper. I'm going to put it right in front of you. Line these up in parchment paper. We're going to cook these. It's going to be a little sweet and savory together. Twist. Cut out the pit. Yeah. All right. Now, next thing we're going to do is going to take our olive oil that we have from before, and we are going to just sprinkle these. Sprinkle. I know it's not sprinkle, but you're going to see what I'm going to do. Sprinkle, sprinkle, a little bit of olive oil, not too much. Okay? Just with the olive oil, you're going to take these, drip it off. Just one enough to coat the outside of the plum a little bit. Okay, we're going to take our Himalayan sea salt. Thank you, Ashley. We're going to sprinkle these just a little bit. Not much. Boom. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to take our thyme. You have it from this dish we're going to make it with the chicken, so we don't need to worry about buying another herb. We're going to just pull it right off. We're going to sprinkle these. Pull it right off. Just sprinkle it a little bit. Don't worry about having too much. It's also going to give, I like to put the stems onto it right here. It's going to give a great aroma onto there and in your room as well. All right. Just like that, we're going to put it right. We're going to put it right into the oven. All right, your oven's going to be set for 400. Cook it for 400 for 5 minutes. Turn your oven down to 250 and cook it for 1 hour. Okay, 250. You want us to basically almost like drying it out a little bit without cooking it so rapidly. If you cooked it really rapidly, plum would probably fall apart because of all the sugars breaking down so fast. All right. Put it right into your oven like that. Leave it, and then you can go back to your chicken. Now, let's look at this chicken for a second. All right, look how that's thickened up already. It's almost done already. All right, now I'm going to show you just for the heck of it. Here you go. You see the chicken? I made one ahead of time. And I made one just for you so that you don't have to wait. Look at this. Beautiful chicken with mushrooms. Easy to plate. Easy to plate. Serve to guests. If you're not having guests, just for you and your husband or anybody else. Beautiful just like that. The sauce holds, it doesn't burn, and it's beautiful just the way it is. The onions, the mushrooms, the sauce. That's how you start a new year. Look how those plums come out. That's not oil on top. That's caramelized sugars and juices from the plum. All right? Now, what you can do here is you can cut them in half. You can cut them into third. I'm going to cut them, lay it out just for you. See, they still have body. They're not too soft. They're not mushy. I'm going to cut them right in half. The next thing we're going to do is make our tahina sauce. Tahina sauce is really easy. Tahina that you buy in the container, one that looks really, really thick, that's real tahina. You want to use that. You're going to add some water to it, some lemon juice to it, okay? A little salt, and a little trick is an ice cube. The ice cube keeps it combined, because a lot of times it likes to come apart, the oils and the waters won't mix. You put an ice cube into it, mix it, boom, there you go. Okay? Put all of those ingredients together and you get your tahina sauce. Literally, tahina, water, lemon juice. Okay? So you're saying, where's the sweet come from? It comes from the plums, as I like it, apples and honey. We're going to do plums and honey. We're going to sprinkle a little bit of honey right on top. Now, you see this? I use the whisk. Best way to do your plating. Right there. Beautiful plums. Just going to take the whisk right here, and we're just going to drizzle right on top. Not too much. You're going to go back and forth. That way it doesn't put a sauce in it that you're drenched in, and it's just enough that it's a perfect flavor. Now, you don't have to do this, but one of the best things I like all of my food that I eat is mint. Love mint. Mint is something that brings out a lot of flavor to a lot of fruit, and it brings out flavor to lemons. So we're going to take a couple of pieces of mint, just like this. Just slice it up real quick. I'm going to sprinkle right on top. Boom. Here's your dessert. You don't need a piece of cake. You got your plums. Now you got your honey. Anybody have any questions? You got two beautiful dishes right here. You got your chicken, and you got your plums. The best thing that goes with that chicken, really, your type of rice. You want to stay Italian, you can go farro, some broccoli rabe, any type of vegetables, string beans are beautiful with that dish. If you want something to soak it up with, besides all the challah that you're eating, you can use some mashed potatoes. But you want to go a little better than potatoes or mashed potatoes, you can go broccoli rabe, stick it with Italian. You can go string beans, any type of stir fry. This sauce is beautiful. There's going to be a lot of sauce left over. I'm going to use it for something else. It's as simple as that. Any questions, anybody?
What time is dinner?
Thank you so much, Seth.
5:30.
Yes, yay! Thank you.
Really, that was fantastic. So much detail. I love it. Does anyone have any questions about anything?
What type of mustard is it?
I use Dijon mustard.
So I have a question regarding the cornstarch and the water. You mentioned that you added it at that time because you knew that you were going to sit down with your, with the kids and the family and have it.
Right.
So if you were to cook it for, like, let's say, dinner's at 6 or 7 and you're cooking it in the afternoon, like for Friday or, Yontif afternoon.
I wouldn't use the cornstarch.
You wouldn't even use it. Okay. You'd leave it out. Got
Yeah,
it.
it'll probably get too thick. It'll be like a clumpy, chunky sauce that you took out of a freezer, and you don't want that.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. Chinese food, that's what they use to thicken things. They use cornstarch, a slurry. And once it starts to congeal and starts to cool down, you see it all get all clumpy and nasty. So I wouldn't use it at all. I use it right now just because I wanted to show how thick and everything it was going to get.
Right. Okay,
Can
great.
You got plenty of the cornstarch inside the flour already. You don't need more.
Can you do the same dessert with apples or peaches?
Apples, peaches, nectarines. I like plums. Just because I don't eat it too often, I might make a shachian.
Good idea.
Is that the bottle of tahina on your counter?
Yes, right here.
That?
They sell it at Seasons. They sell it at Pomegranate, which my mentor, my chef, is the head chef at Pomegranate now, Chef David Clocken. Just tell him you know me, and he'll come in and help you out with anything you need.
Does he deliver?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Excellent. All right, everyone. Well, awesome. All right, everyone. Well, thank you very much. Thank you again.
Very much, everybody, for coming. I appreciate your time. And
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Chef.
Bye.
Take care, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.